Hello, everybody. Welcome to a comparison of Psycho 2 the movie versus Psycho 2 the book. Psycho 2 the movie was spoiled for me twice, and so that was sort of why I put off watching it until earlier this year when I finally got the four movie collection and I watched the sequel and I really love it. And it's become one of my favorite movies. And I read the first Psycho book just a few months ago, actually, and then so I decided to read the sequel book. And I went into this knowing they were nothing alike, and I went into this pretty blind. There is only really one similarity, and that is that they're each set 20 years after the first one. The first book and the first movie are like 99% the same. These two are like 99% different. The book, well, I really like both of these. I think I prefer the movie more. And most of this discussion is going to be about the book since pretty much everybody watching this knows about the movie. I'm going to touch on it only a little bit. Mostly I'm going to be talking about the book here. But they're both set 20 something years after the first movie or first book. And Psycho 2 has Norman, he comes home because now they've decided that he's perfectly sane. And so, he comes home, he tries to readjust, and somebody's trying to make him crazy again. And it's a really awesome story. I really love it. It had me on the edge of my seat. This book is very different because it does start with that whole 20 something years later thing, except he's not coming home. He's still in the insane asylum. And spoilers. I just got to make that clear, like just spoilers for this book, okay? But this book is a fun read, and it's pretty meta. Like it's sort of like Scream, not anywhere near on the meta that Scream is, but it has a few moments in here where it's pretty meta. It's got a similar plot actually to Scream 3. The plot is very similar because it deals with Hollywood quite a bit. Like the majority of this book actually takes place in Hollywood. And again, spoilers, because I'm about to tell you guys like the biggest spoiler about this book. So if you don't want it to be spoiled for you, click off now. And for those that are about to click off, casual reminder to buy my books. They're down in the description. But anyways, okay, so you've all had your spoiler warning. Norman dies. We don't know that until the end. It's a pretty cool twist. And the killer is actually, spoilers for anyone that might still be here, is actually his doctor, Adam Claiborne. Adam Claiborne wanted to write a book on how he, I guess, cured Norman or fixed him or whatever. He was writing a book actually, and Norman was supposedly doing well. He's the librarian at the insane asylum, and basically what happens is a couple nuns stop by, and the doctor, Adam Claiborne, he leaves one of them alone with Norman in the library, and then then Norman. Oh my goodness, I shouldn't even be laughing right before I say it because it's really heavy stuff. But Norman chokes her with her rosary and then puts on her outfit and leaves. And then he kills the other nun. And then what happens is it sort of sets up some mystery because then he picks up a hitchhiker because he wants to kill the hitchhiker and then set the van on fire so that way he could fake his death. And that way he could, go on, escape, do whatever. And so when, the doctor and police show up to the scene, and they think that it's that Norman's dead, but the police think it is. Doctor sees a few blocks away. He sees like a sign that I think it says Fairvale, like some hitchhiker sign or something. And so the doctor's like, oh man, no, he must have picked up this hitchhiker. This Norman can't be dead, and so it takes a few days because all the police are pretty busy because there was some really big bus accident or something, and so they've got their hands full. Like it happened like right before that, like just a few minutes before that, there was some big bus accident, so their hands are full. So it takes a few days to get around to Norman's corpse and seeing, seeing if it's really him or not. And so when I was reading that, I thought it was just the hitchhiker. And so, the doctor, he gets word about this movie that's going on in Hollywood. I think it's called Crazy Lady, which is kind of a funny title. And so the doctor, he goes to Hollywood, and earlier he and the other doctor, the doctor that's above him, they were sent this script for the movie, but this dude, Adam, didn't know about it. The other dude, I think his name's Steiner, he's not really in it that much. He knew about it, and then Adam kind of finds out after Norman escapes, oh, there's a movie going on, and so he thinks Norman is headed over there to Hollywood, so that way Norman, like, his idea is like that Norman's gonna, sort of sabotage it. But so the doctor goes over to Hollywood, and this is where you could kind of tell that, like, Robert Bloch, the author of this book, like, he's really angry at Hollywood. Like, I tried to find some more information on this, and I couldn't really find a ton of why exactly he was upset with Hollywood. Like, there's not really a lot of Robert Bloch interviews that I could find. I did partially find one, where, he talks about what it's like working in Hollywood, and he talks about, like, like, you write 10 screenplays, only one sells, and it might never get made. But I mean, he's still making a living, so I don't know. I don't know what exactly happened that made him despise Hollywood. I think he, wrote quite a few movies, but anyways, when that happens and the doctor goes there, like, you could see, like, all the anger that Robert Bloch has about Hollywood. But the doctor himself, like I said, he's the killer, and that's because he really identifies closely with Norman, because some similarities they had about their lives, which you find out a little bit more about towards the end when it all gets explained and stuff. And the doctor, like, because like I said, he was like writing this book, like he wants to write this book so that way he'd get famous on Norman's case. Like, oh, look, I cured him, he's good. And then, he could get out of there. And I guess he wants to run his own sort of insane asylum or something. Like, that's sort of his thing. Like, he wants to get out of there. He wants to be the boss of whatever place he wants to open up. And so it turns out at the end, that he was the killer the whole time. He kills a few people there. But for the most part, like, a lot of what happens in here in, like, the middle of the book, like, for this much of the book, probably maybe a little bit less than that, like, this much of the book, like, it takes place right in Hollywood. And like, a lot of it is just like people like talking and like speculating that, oh, Norman might be here, he might be the one, that's trying to start problems and kill people and lighting sets on fire. And so it's like a lot of speculation, a lot of talking. But it was really easy to get through because I read this book in 4 days. It's like 317 pages, and I got through it in 4 days. Like, Robert Bloch is like super easy to read. Normally a book like this might take me like a week, but I got through it in 4 days. It's a super quick read. But I think the middle needed a lot more action, I guess. A lot of the kills are sort of like piled up at the end here, which would be fine, if it was like a thinner book and all the kills happen at the end. But like, we get like a lot in the middle here of like, I really needed a little bit more of something going on when we were in the middle, like, because all the kills really, there's a couple at the start, with the nuns, and then there's a few at the end in Hollywood. But for the most part, the middle is just like people speculating on things, which wasn't totally interesting, but it was still fine. Like, I wasn't really bored with the book. Like, they were solid characters that were in here. None of the characters in here are in the movie at all. But I don't know. I think it needed a little more action. But I mean, I still really enjoyed this book. I actually enjoyed this book more than the first book. I'll do a little ranking for you guys. The first Psycho book is like 99% the movie, but it's really lacking. Like, the movie uses almost no dialogue from the books. Like, all the dialogue you like about the first one, it's all in the movie. And so that's why I wasn't really big on the Psycho book. But this one's definitely better than the first book, because this one was so much better written. But I think if I had to rank it, I'd probably go like the original Psycho movie, second Psycho movie, second Psycho book, and then the first movie. So it goes in like reverse, like first movie, two, then one. So that's sort of my ranking. I do have his other book here, Psycho House. This is the conclusion to the trilogy. I don't quite know what all happens in there. There's the synopsis if you guys want to pause it and read that. But I think the next book I'm going to read, though, is probably going to be this book right here, Benighted by J.B. Priestley. I think I said in my other video of like what books I'm going to read next. I might have said something about reading The Nest next, but kind of wanted to go with a shorter read, and I wanted to read something about a haunted house because I think the next book I'm going to write is probably going to be a haunted house story, so I figured I'd read something for inspiration. But with that being said, guys, you could all check out my books down below in the description on Amazon and Kindle, including my new book, Locked Coffins. Let me know if you've read Psycho House, if you've read Psycho 2. Let me know what you think about his books. Don't spoil Psycho House for me, please. But if you've read Psycho 2, let me know what you think. Do you like the movie more or do you like the book more? Let me know down in the comments. Peace.